it's always tough to start something new. Even if you already had the contacts and the connections, it's always tough, right? Because you have to build out a structure. You have to, create protocols and you also have to convince people to an extent that you are the right person or the right company for what you're trying to offer.
Welcome to Business Ninjas, brought to you by WriteForMe, where you'll hear from business leaders who are out there growing their business and slaying it every day. Learn from the masters. Let's get started.
Santiago, thank you for joining us today on Business Ninjas. We're excited to learn about the company and the new directions that you're heading in. So maybe you could start by introducing yourself and telling us what your role in the company is, the name of the company and the website.
Absolutely. So the name of the company is FOMAT Medical Research. The website is fomatmedical.com. We've been in the medical industry, in the healthcare industry for over a decade now. Our main focus has been clinical trials since our inception. We've done phase 2, 3, and 4 clinical trials, and now we expanded to phase 1. And recently we opened up what we call a commercialization business unit. And what we want to focus on in this new business unit is commercialized medications, medical devices in Latin America, because we have a presence there and we want to focus only on innovative products. And by innovative, we mean anything that is the best product in terms of research, in terms of quality, or if a product is similar in research and quality, then best price. And we want to, our initial target markets are Ecuador, Peru, Colombia, and then we want to expand to other countries nearby. And my background was in finance, actually. I did an undergrad in finance and economics, and I then did a master's in quantitative economics. But interestingly enough, I did all of these while it was the pandemic, right? The past few years, I graduated from everything. So even though I have a finance background, I kind of got into this world because healthcare is a world in its own. So
absolutely, yeah. So you went from finance into healthcare, and then the structure of the company. So you've got a Latin American focus and a U.S. presence as well. So maybe explain a little bit about how the company's structured and where your offices are.
Absolutely. So the company is starting in Oxnard, in Ventura County. It's a county next to LA County. And it was initially focused only on doing trials in California, right?
Yep.
Then this new idea came up to open up, a regional headquarters in Ecuador, in Latin America. So we did that, and then but that was kind of like a side company per se. Mm-hmm. But this side company ended up buying the original company, right? And that's FOMAT, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, so what we've been doing since is we've been doing clinical trials in Latin America, Ecuador specifically, the majority of them, and then in the US. But a lot of the workforce in Latin America also help out all the projects we have in the US, and help out. And in terms of the commercialization business unit, because we already have a structure for clinical trials, and by structure I mean like a legal team, quality control team, clinical research coordinators, regulatory department, administrative department, and more. It was kind of like easy to start a commercialization business unit because a lot of the things you need for to commercialize medications and to be a distributor, we already had. So it was only logical for us to expand into this new area.
Right. Yeah. You had all of the regulatory side of things. If you didn't have that, that would have been a big leap to get past that. Right. So that's great that you already had that foundation.
Yeah, absolutely. And not only that, also, we've been working with hospitals, with doctors, with public and private hospitals, and laboratories and more. So we already had these reputation in Latin America of a company that focuses on innovation, that wants to help patients, wants to help to create more medications and improve the healthcare overall. So that helped out as well, because now that we are bringing these innovative products, hospitals or want to speak with us, and doctors are like, oh wow, that's cool. You guys are not only doing clinical trials, but you guys are also commercializing these and that. And like, yeah, sure, let me hear about your product. So that has helped too.
Bet. And is that sort of a logical progression that a lot of companies that are in the clinical trial space do, that they eventually get into the commercialization game, or is that a relatively rare leap that you're making?
Yeah, so that's actually not that common. And the reason for that is because if you're a clinical trial company in the US, there's just so much that you can do within the US that you don't have the need to go abroad to commercialize products. Let's say you're doing clinical trials in California. You want to then do clinical trials in Illinois or in Florida or in New York, whatever, it's a huge market, right? Like just opening up in a different state is like huge. Or, let's say you're doing phase 2 to 4 studies. If you want to open up phase 1 study, huge. Like the market is just big. So there's no need for you to commercialize. And if you want to commercialize medications or medical devices, you already have like McKesson that are just dominating the market. So it's super hard to compete with them, honestly. The progression for us to open up this new business unit was only natural because we had a presence abroad. And kind of like our pitch is when we want to represent any company, we tell them like, hey, truth be told, it's hard to open up in a new country because you need, let's say if you're like a small to medium-sized company, you need a regulatory team, you need a sales team, you need someone to take care of legal and many more things that you have to do on a daily basis that you simply don't have either the resources to afford it or the time, honestly, because it takes a lot of time. Like the biggest companies in the world, like Johnson & Johnson or Pfizer, they don't have any problem opening up in another country because they already have the infrastructure. They already have this everywhere. It's easy for them to get the approvals and sell anywhere in the world. But for a new startup that just has one medication for oncology or a medical device for a rare disease or neurology, it's hard because we're talking about companies that have 50, 100 employees, and simply they just can't enter a new country because they're already focusing all the resources in opening up in the bigger markets in the US, in Canada, in the European Union, in Japan, in Australia. So that's where we come in, right? That's where we say like, hey, you don't have to spend any money of your own. We'll be partners with you. Let's say just for the sake of the conversation, if you sell your product for $100, we'll buy it at $60, and with those $40, margin that we have, we'll use that to fund our marketing team and regulatory department and legal and sales teams and everything.
Yep.
But that way, for these new medical device or pharmaceutical companies, they don't have to, first of all, spend money to open up in a new territory, and also they're expanding their product. Now they can not only say like, hey, we're selling in the U.S. and we want to sell in Europe, but now they can say, hey, we're also selling in, let's say, Ecuador or Colombia, and just like we offer these services in Latin America, there's other companies that offer the same services in some parts of Asia, some parts of Europe, and in other countries in Latin America where we don't focus on.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the reason why we open up this new business unit, and why it kind of like adds value to the companies we work with.
Yeah. So you already had the contacts and the network in all of these countries down there to just be able to take a new offering out to everybody, since you already knew them. I'm wondering so you had built those relationships up over the decade that you'd been in business doing the clinical trials work. What was navigating through the COVID era like with, not only for your company, but for your partner companies and customers out there? What was that journey like?
Yeah, so we started this business unit in 2022.
Yep.
We didn't have to endure through the midst of the pandemic, if you will,
Yep.
because the pandemic started in March 2020,
Yep.
if I'm correct. And yeah, that year was tough, and then 2021 was also tough, right? In terms of FOMAT, like as a company,
Yep.
the pandemic was actually like business-wise, we actually ended up having more business than we had before, and that's merely because there was a lot of funding and a lot of studies, both for treatments and vaccines, that were directly related to COVID, and we were involved in a lot of them, right? So while other companies, in other industries were kind of like closing down or downsizing, we were constantly hiring more people because we had all these new studies, different phases that we had to work on. And yeah, that's why kind of like going then to 2022, the company had grown from pre-pandemic levels. So the company decided to embark in other projects like phase one, which I mentioned I think at the beginning of the podcast, and then this commercialization business unit. And for us now to start this business unit has been it's always tough to start something that something new. Even if you already had the contacts and the connections, it's always tough, right? Because you have to build out a structure. You have to create protocols and and you also have to convince people to an extent that you are the right person or the right company for what you're trying to offer, right? Because it's just like, I don't know, if BMW, that they are experts in cars, right now wants to sell planes. I don't know. It's not the right.
I get what you're saying though, yeah.
But just for you to have an idea,
Yep.
like they still need to prove themselves in this new market, right? So it's kind of like that with us as well. But it's going, and projections look good, and yeah, we're starting this, and it hasn't been hard because of the pandemic. It's just because we're starting something from zero, right?
Right. And where can folks find you if they wanted to get more information and learn more or reach out to the company? Are you active on social media yet? Have you got anything going there, or what? How can people best contact you to find out more?
Absolutely. I would say for people to reach out to me via email, which is sfocil@fomatmedical.com. I don't know if we can. Yeah, I think that's the best place to contact me. Usually, what we've been doing so far is we have been meeting people organically.
Yep.
At conferences that we attend, we go to booths for to speak with people when we think a product is good, or we've also the classic cold email or like cold message, on LinkedIn, but specifically for products that we have initially been interested on, because we know there's a market for them in our territories of interest, or because there's something going on there that we're interested in these products. But yeah, if people want to reach out to me, I think that by email it's the best place to do so, and I'm super responsive there.
Great. All right. Well, Santiago, thanks for joining us today. We're going to look forward to seeing what you get done in 2023. It's going to be exciting watching you grow.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me, Jamie. I appreciate your time, and yeah, looking forward to 2023 too.